Welcome to Crypto Kid Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. So today I have a special guest, Lark Davis, and we're going to be going over EFTs, things going on with the government, not liking Bitcoin, the U.S. government, how everybody is adopting, and a bunch of other stuff that's happening in the market, especially with the SEC suing people. And let's get into it. Thank you, David Larkin, for coming on the podcast. And why don't you tell my audience a little bit how you got into the blockchain space?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my journey in 2017, making crypto content around the time that I was also starting to invest in the cryptocurrency space. And that just started with Bitcoin and then went down the altcoin rabbit hole of buying all kinds of different things. Bought XRP, bought Digibyte back in the day, NEM cryptocurrency back in the day. XRP is the only one of those that anybody probably even knows the name of anymore. Things move fast in crypto. And I quit my day job in November of 2017, and there was no going back after that. I burnt the boats to take the island, so to speak. And this was what I was doing from then on forth. So I've been creating content nonstop since then and investing, of course, very heavily since then. And it's a crazy industry to work in. It's one of the biggest growth industries in the world, I think, potential-wise. It's like crypto and AI right now. That's where like the money's going to be made this decade for investors.
For sure. Now, how will Bitcoin have an effect on the market?
So the Bitcoin halving is coming up, and that's depending on when people are listening to this conversation later. It's about 10 days from the time that we're recording this podcast. So the Bitcoin halving is a major milestone for the entire cryptocurrency market. This is a moment that happens every 4 years where the emissions get cut by 50%, which is why we call it the halving, right? Because we see a 50% drop in emissions for Bitcoin block rewards. So right now it's 6.5 and it's going to drop down to 3.25, whatever. So basically we go from 900 Bitcoin a day to 450 Bitcoin a day. Now you might think, well, that's not such a big deal, is it? Well, it's a very big deal because Bitcoin is half of the total cryptocurrency market. So what happens in Bitcoin has reverberations and an echoing effect right across the cryptocurrency space. And this reduction in emissions comes at a time when we're seeing wild demand. The ETF products have unleashed a liquidity tsunami. We've seen $13 billion of fresh net inflows into Bitcoin, which is wild, huge numbers. Plus, we have Hong Kong Bitcoin ETFs coming, South Korea Bitcoin ETFs coming, London's listing Bitcoin ETFs, Germany's listing Bitcoin ETFs, Australia's listing Bitcoin ETFs soon, all at the time that, again, miners are going to be having less supply to sell into the market. And we've had so much inflow into just US Bitcoin ETF products so far that on average, we have been seeing, if we count the 100 days approximately since Bitcoin ETFs have listed, they've been buying about 2,150 Bitcoin per day every single day of the week. Obviously, they don't trade them the weekends, but let's just say we'll even it out there. So that's more than 2 times every single day what miners are producing, Wall Street's buying. Just Wall Street, not people buying on Coinbase, not people buying anywhere else, the millionaires, billionaires, the family offices, all these people around the world buying Bitcoin, plus the other 5 ETFs that are coming in the next few months. Crazy stuff's happening. Yep. And this is a massive liquidity moment for the market, running into the wall of decreasing supply.
So that just makes the value go, that just pumps up the value for Bitcoin. It just makes it more, what's the word for it? Like I can't think of the word, but it just raises up things and makes people take Bitcoin seriously in a sense. So is the United States, like, are we the ones that came up with the ETFs first, or did we follow suit with somebody else?
No, America, as is usual in crypto, was drugged to ETFs kicking and screaming and only approved Bitcoin ETFs after losing a major court case against Grayscale, at which point the SEC was basically forced to launch ETF products. So the US has not been a great actor at all. The SEC has been stonewalling at every opportunity possible for the crypto industry, suing all the most honest actors in the space, suing Coinbase, going after the Kraken exchange, going after Uniswap now. So they've been definitely not a positive or a leader in any way in crypto. Now, a lot of American developers have been leaders in the space, but the American regulatory scene has been one of the worst in the world, bar from like, maybe China or something like that, which is not a great comparison, is it, for the land of the free? Canada beat the United States by years to Bitcoin ETF products. Brazil beat the United States by years to Bitcoin ETF products, and a variety of Bitcoin ETF-like products. They're called slightly different names in Europe, but they're spot-backed products, essentially ETFs, have already been trading for, again, years, for example, on Swiss stock exchanges and stuff like that. So America is late to the party, without a doubt. Other countries, of course, coming on board now, but America certainly was not the leader in this space. In fact, companies like Gemini from the Winklevoss twins have been trying to get a Bitcoin ETF in America since 2014. It's taken them 10 years of stonewalling and bad behavior from the SEC in order to finally have a point where they got a court case that they lost that set the precedent, and the judge basically forced them to list a Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah, that's upsetting because just good, like a little backdrop about me and how I got into it. It's just that when I got into cryptocurrencies, that was back in like seriously investing was 2017. And so we had like all these exchanges come out, and Bittrex and Binance before we went over to Binance US. Like I was able to make it was super easy, just plug in your Coinbase wallet and then put in some funds and then buy, and then like I would say a few months later, like all of a sudden my Bittrex account got shut down, and all that money got took it from there. I still and Binance was like, well, you need to get Binance to US, and I was like, what is going on? And it's just like it's what you were saying about US, just like bringing down the hammer on regulations. And yeah, I do believe regulation is good, but like I had a bunch of Tron coins in Binance, and now I don't have any in my US wallet app, and I'm just like, where the flip did all this money go? Like I earned it, I paid for it. I was literally every 2 weeks I would get paid. I mean, just putting like $100 and it accumulated all the way up to 1,000. And then now it's like, now my account's still 1,000. Like, this is like, it's words can't even explain how I feel. I'm just like, I feel like I'm being robbed. And it's like most of my listeners are from the United States too. And most cryptocurrency enthusiasts are from the United States. So it's just like, I just wish the US would get on board, because if they don't, they're gonna be left behind. Like what I said in a past podcast before, they're gonna be forced to do it, or else their competitors are gonna overrun them in the relay race.
It's literally what's happening right now. Every other country in the world is taking the business because companies are leaving the USA. If honestly, if you're a developer in the USA and you're staying in the USA right now, you're crazy. You're basically waiting to get sued by the SEC, and they've sued. It's wild because the SEC has largely gone after the most sort of benign or legitimate companies. They're going after Coinbase, they're going after Kraken, and sometimes they've gone after bad actors. Obviously, they're not completely useless in that regard, but usually years after the fact, they don't actually prevent anything. They just collect money later on. And it's been an absolute shit show in terms of what they've done in terms of regulation. They cozied up with the FTX guys, right? They met with them multiple times, including apparently talking about working on some kind of deal that would have shut down a lot of other crypto exchanges in the USA. So this is what the SEC and FTX were doing together. And then, of course, FTX collapsed because it was a giant fraud. So there's been so many problems with the way the SEC has behaved. They went after, oh gosh, I can't remember the name right now, but there was a decentralized streaming service, LBRY, that's it, it's called LBRY. And they went after these guys, this big, vibrant community of people using utility tokens, which are allowed apparently by the SEC, not security tokens, not sharing yield or anything like that, but they shut them down. They just went after them and crushed them in court for no real reason, except that they want to go and crush people in court. And they're a bully. They try to pick on smaller companies where they think they can win and set court precedents. And then they go after bigger companies saying, well, see, look, we won in this court case, so there's the precedent, then we can go after the bigger guys. It's been a terrible, terrible failure on the part of US enforcement agencies and an even bigger failure in terms of US regulators. But then are we really surprised? Because US regulations seem like a shit show at the best of times.
For sure, for sure. So why is everyone so pumped about Bitcoin ETFs?
It's a liquidity event. It's the biggest liquidity event the market's ever seen. Bitcoin ETFs are a massive, one, sign of approval, social proofing, if you will, that Bitcoin is now a massively legitimate asset. That if even the SEC and the USA had to approve Bitcoin ETFs, it must be the real deal. It's here. It's big. BlackRock's doing it. Fidelity's doing it. So that's a big part of the picture, the social proofing. But the real story, of course, comes from the liquidity injection. This is the biggest liquidity event that the crypto markets will ever see. It's a once in a market liquidity event, essentially, these Bitcoin ETF products, because they bring in so much money and will bring in so much money over the next, let's say 5 or 6 years. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars that will flow directly into Bitcoin ETF products, which, think about the market cap right now. We're at a $1 trillion market cap, let's say. What if $300 billion tries to come in? It doesn't increase the market cap to $1.3 trillion. No, it sends the market cap much higher because the actual supply of Bitcoin available for sale is tiny.
Yeah,
So this is a very, very big impact in terms of event.
for sure, for sure. So what cycle of the market are we in right now?
Right now, the market cycle is essentially at an area where we are at this very interesting moment right now because we've just a few weeks ago touched new highs for Bitcoin, right? That's very exciting. Everybody's very excited about that. Happened before Bitcoin halving, which hasn't happened before. But essentially, we're at the phase of the market now where the broad accumulation period has finished. And we're entering a very new dangerous phase of the market where essentially altcoins are going to see massive outperformance over the next 12 to 18 months, assuming we have a standardish kind of 4-year cycle. Remains to be seen, of course. A lot of people talk about accelerated cycle, a lot of people are talking about super cycle already. The base case needs, I think, to be the 4-year cycle until proven otherwise, which means that late 2025, sell and walk away, essentially. But between now and then, a lot of money will be made in a lot of places. And if you look at like big meme coins and stuff like that, people are make money there. People are make money on big AI coins, big gaming coins, all this kind of stuff. There's lots of ways to make money in the market, but the buying will not last forever. We've got maybe 6 months, for example, let's say, of sort of broad buying where you can still have a good risk reward calculation. But the higher the price goes, the worse the risk reward calculation gets. And the more likely it is that you're not going to make money, but you're going to lose money. So after, let's say in 2025, that's actually not really a time to be buying anymore. Oh, there'll still be new opportunities. I'm not saying there won't be no opportunities. Still new airdrops to farm, or some new token sale to get into, or a hot new listing to get into. But broadly speaking, 2025 is no longer the time to be buying. It's the time to flip the switch in your brain and start thinking about selling.
Really? Wow, I thought just always holding was a good idea for the
Well,
long
it depends
term.
on well, it depends on what you want to do. If you're talking about specifically just Bitcoin, then sure, you can hold your Bitcoin forever and on, and it'll be $1 million one day. That's fine. But the vast majority of investors are not Bitcoin only. Most people have a wide variety of altcoins in their portfolios, and the vast majority of those will go to zero in the next bear market. Some of them, of course, will survive, but even the strongest ones are still going to see 90% corrections in the market. So this is something for people to keep in mind. Yeah, you don't have to sell everything, but if you actually want to make money in this market, and I know a lot of people want to make money, you don't want to just be a bag holder forever. You don't want to be a community member in the next bear market sitting around with 5 guys in some chat somewhere saying, gosh, I wish we'd sold when the prices were higher and we're not down 99%. That's what most people do. Most people are going to make a bunch of money on paper, have a bunch of unrealized gains, and round trip their bags and end up with absolutely nothing. If you want to make money in this market, and I know most people listening probably do want to make market, you're not just in it for the tech, okay? If you were just in it for the tech, you wouldn't be investing, to be running nodes and being a developer or something, okay? If you're investing money in this space, you have an expectation at some point you're probably going to make some money in this space, okay? That being the case, you only make money when you sell. And the vast majority of these altcoins are not going to make it multi-cycle. So you have to understand that if you want to make money at some point, you got to click the sell button. If you have life-changing money on the table, you have to change your life and take the profits. And if you don't take your profits, the market will take them for you. And if you don't believe me, look at every cycle that's ever happened in the history of investing, and certainly in the history of crypto, because remember, most of this stuff is new startups. And they just, the startup rate failure in the real world is 90%, and it's about the same in crypto. So 9 out of 10 of these new coins that are launching right now that everybody's talking about, everybody's hyping up, it's the most exciting thing in your timeline, 9 out of 10 of them are going to fail in the next bear market. Okay, you need to understand this as an investor. The odds are against you. So if you're invested in 20 coins, 20 altcoins, we're not going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, whatever. If you're invested in 20 altcoins, guess what? Most of those are going to go to zero in the next bear market. Now you have a great opportunity to make money on those 20 altcoins in the bull market. When things start to turn, you either get out or you go down with the ship.
Yeah, it's happened to me many, many times. I'm just gonna be so excited when they bring out or when they take out the meme coins. I just feel like it's just such a joke. Like, I know Elon Musk likes Doge and things like that, but just to me, it's just I feel like they just have no true value. Like, it's just a, it's just for humor, like shits and giggles. That's why people get it. No, you said take the profits out, right? So after people make the profits on cryptocurrencies, the Bitcoin or whatever, what should they reinvest their money into? Because in my opinion, I think if you have fiat, you're poor, in my honest opinion. And the guy from the CEO from XRP has said this before on national television too. So if he's saying it, he must know something. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it was Michael Saylor, the MicroStrategy guy, actually. Anyway, but he having fiat is a tool. Money is a tool, and as soon as you realize that money is a tool and not a store of value, because you can't have a store of value that has such high inflation and monetary debasement, right? So look at store of value assets. Gold is a store of value asset, kind of boring if we're being honest, doesn't create cash flow. So if you want to look at where is, okay, where am I going to put money when I've actually taken profits? Because once you take profits, remember, most of these things are going to go down to essentially zero during the bear market. Well, there's a few different places you can put it. Of course, you can just buy more Bitcoin. You can keep money rolling back in the crypto cycle, buy Bitcoin. But remember, every time you sell something, there's a taxable event. So don't just sell a bunch of altcoins at the top, throw them into Bitcoin, which is then going to go down 50% or 60% in the bear market. And then you have this giant tax bill. So you have to account for that, okay? Don't get caught with the pants down. But you can put money back into Bitcoin, obviously. You can put money into tech stocks. Dividend stocks are great. Nice way to create passive income for yourself. Real estate, I know, kind of a pain in the butt, but hey, if you make enough money, maybe it's interesting. Of course, make sure you own your own home, obviously, if that's something that you're interested in doing. But having rental properties could also be a pretty good idea for a lot of people in terms of passive income. Diversify out, essentially. Crypto is great for making money during bull markets. It's bad for storing money in bear markets. And fiat, again, is a tool. So as a tool, what do you need to use it as sometimes? Sometimes you just need to sit in it. And you might think, well, but aren't I losing money via monetary debasement and all that stuff? Yes, but you're only losing a very small percentage over like a 6-month or 12-month period, at which point you can take that cash and reinvest it into the market, for example. Right? So this is a bit about playing the cycles, but again, the reality of cycles is that they are here, and that a lot of the things that people are investing in will lose all of their value in the bear market. So if you don't lock in that value by using a more stable form of accounting, which is fiat currency, then you're going to be in trouble. Not long term, yeah. You don't want to have $1 million and stick it under your bed and just, hey, now I'm rich, I'm going to leave that there forever. Like, no, you're losing, a few percent every single year and if you come back in 20 years, that stack of $1 million is going to be worth a heck of a lot less than it is value-wise. All the numbers on the pieces of paper will still be the same, but what that money can buy will be dramatically less.
So name a few altcoins that you're watching right now that you encourage other people to look at.
Look, there's a lot of great altcoins out there right now, and it depends on everybody's risk tolerance levels, right? You can go from low risk to high risk very, very quickly. And if we talk about, for example, some low risk stuff, some ideas that I've been playing with recently is actually looking at some of the biggest ecosystems right now in the cryptocurrency space, and maybe the main beta plays on those. So for example, the Solana ecosystem, Solana's had a great run. The main assets had a great run. However, it doesn't have that much reward relative to the risk of buying. Now, if you're looking for, I don't know, an easy 2 to 3x, not like it's really easy in crypto, obviously you can lose all your money very quickly, but if you're looking for something that's going to do 2 to 3x, well, Solana's probably a pretty decent play on that. But if you're looking for something that's going to make a bit more money in the crypto ecosystem of Solana, then perhaps you want to look at the biggest exchange, which is Jupiter. Now I've got a bag of this, and this is one that biggest decentralized exchange, often flipping Uniswap in volume. So this is a great beta play, something that can do that 10x move still in the market. Now, look, we were buying this earlier. The current price is up 200% from our initial entries, obviously. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But even at that, I bought some more yesterday or the day before at around $1.40, because I think this thing will go much, much higher, especially as the incentives are there for actually staking and participating in governance. There's all kinds of big incentives that they have going on. So that's one beta play for the Solana ecosystem. Then you look over in the base ecosystem, and there's a lot of, again, great beta plays there. Now, the two biggest betas in the base ecosystem, no base coin you can buy right now, but you can participate in the base ecosystem, is Aerodrome, which is the biggest decentralized exchange over there. So you can farm that coin or just buy it and hold it, hoping the price will go up. And I know you said you're not very keen on meme coins, but look at like the meme coin Brett, for example, still under $1 billion market cap at the time of recording this video. So there's not a single $1 billion market cap meme coin on base right now. That's interesting. And I know meme coins don't do very much, but here's something interesting for you to consider. The vast majority of coins don't do very much. Well, go buy the Uniswap token. That doesn't do anything. That's a meme. That's a meme coin. It's a governance token. It doesn't do anything for anybody except for the VCs and the team who own it, who can sell it to people who, for some reason, buy it because it does nothing. So in a way, a meme coin's a more honest version of that, because yeah, they don't do anything. But the flip side is that meme coins are tokenized culture, and they're the gateway drug for retail people coming into the market. And if Coinbase is going to onboard millions of people onto Base, which is their exact plan to do via their smart wallet, don't tell me that meme coins on Base probably aren't going to be repriced higher. And Brett right now is the biggest one.
Oh wow, I didn't know you could price them higher than the regular market value.
No. I mean, I'm just saying they're going to go up in price.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So the crypto AI thing, is it all smoke and mirrors, or is it something more?
A bit of both. It's getting very frothy. I'm already seeing the froth starting to appear big time in the space. There's a lot of low-level cash grab bullshit coming out, where it's just like, hey, we integrated ChatGPT into our website, now give us tens of millions of dollars. Okay, so there's some of that stuff going on. But what can actually decentralized systems do for AI? Well, I think that was it Gemini, the AI program. They had this thing where you type in like, hey, can you make an image of, George Washington for me? And it's like a black woman. And it's like, well, wait a second, that's not George Washington. But it was programmed to be so unimaginably woke that this is kind of what ended up happening. So you need, and of course, ChatGPT for a long time has had a whole variety of political censorship. So what you need is decentralized models if you want to have real, honest AI that's not been programmed by the big tech overlords. So things like decentralized GPU networks are very, very compelling. That's why the Render coin has taken off so big, because people are seeing the potential for decentralized AI networks. The demand for GPUs is going to exponentially explode with AI over the next few years. So that's very well positioned, whether it be Render or some of the other players in the space. IONET coming to Solana, similar to Render, but on Solana. And others, you can even go down to like things that haven't even launched their main nets yet, low market cap stuff like Edge Matrix Computing, a longer shot, let's say, bet. But if they take off and if they can perform, then it's bigger upside compared to buying one of the $1 billion market cap ones. Now, when you start going beyond GPU networks, you start getting into a bit of froth in terms of like, well, okay, you're launching on-chain analytics with AI. Okay, cool. But do you really need a token for that? How successful can that be? Et cetera, et cetera. So there's going to be a lot of coins that come to the market and that put AI on the end of their name simply to try and grab value there. Now, some of those are going to do well. Some of those will provide real value and have vibrant, interesting platforms and use cases, but most of them won't. So be careful what you're investing in.
Yeah, AI sounds to me like it's a demon ready to be unleashed, and it's like it could be a really great tool as long as we control it. Like if we let it overstep its boundaries, it could just like be a massive catastrophic mess. And it's just like, yeah, so like Elon Musk said, if you can't beat them, join them and figure out a way to keep them in check too. So Now you mentioned Solana. Do you think it's ever going to overtake Ethereum?
I'm not sure that it will or that it has to be successful. You know, you could look at phones. Which phone do you think has higher sales right now, Samsung or iPhone?
iPhone. In
I'm
my
not even sure.
opinion.
I'm not even sure of the answer, but does it matter because you know both of them, they're both household brands,
Right.
right? They both have massive success. And if you actually dive into the numbers, last time I looked at the numbers, they were neck and neck. There wasn't like any giant, like, okay, iPhone's got 90% of the market and Samsung's got 5. No, they have like 30 and 29 or something like that.
I
So,
only said iPhone because I'm a big Steve Jobs fan. That's like,
which is fine. And there's a lot, there's, I use iPhones too. And I think Apple has done well to create a very strong, like, brand identity for the iPhone. But that's beyond the point. The truth is that Solana doesn't need to flip Ethereum in order to be successful. Solana can have its own success alongside it. And what I do think over time is that you're going to see is probably 4 or 5 blockchains capture 90% plus of the total crypto market users. Because we don't need 150 different blockchains. We don't need 150 different Ethereum layer twos. It's redundant, most of it. Who are the winners going to be? Probably too early to tell in a lot of ways, but we're obviously seeing people pulling out in front right now. Ethereum, it's got these crushing fees, but it still maintains about 50 or 60% of the total value locked and a massive amount of the users because people who've been on Ethereum for a while can still afford to use Ethereum. We're seeing Solana, of course, getting massive interest. So that's one to definitely keep an eye on. But in terms of flipping Ethereum, I don't know, man. I wouldn't bet against the Ethereum team and the Ethereum layer 2 ecosystem and everything that's being built there. But can Solana go on to have 20% or 30% of the total users in crypto?
for
Yeah.
sure.
And they currently have about 3 to 5%. So that's, some thought for you.
Yeah, exactly. Even Polygon. What are your thoughts about? I know Polygon's great, grabbing some traction, and a lot of people are starting to use them too.
Yeah, well, Polygon's been being used by a lot of people for a long time. It's interesting it hasn't actually got more hype this cycle, maybe around its big upgrade to polls and stuff, the rebranding of their token and stuff like that. Maybe they'll see some more traction. But Polygon, those guys are builders. Those guys are hardcore. They came out of the bear market super strong with lots of new products. So I wouldn't bet against them. But the thing is that in the crypto space right now, there's a huge competition going on for your dollars and your attention because a lot of money in crypto is simply mercenary capital. That means it'll go from one chain to the other. People aren't like, oh, I'm just an Ethereum user and I just use Ethereum. Most money is like, I'll go to, if the money making is on Solana, I'll go over to Solana and make money. If the money making's over here, I'll go over here and make money, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's I think the thing to keep in mind.
So how do I convince people to start using cryptocurrencies? Because I sell things on Facebook Marketplace, and that's the only payment I accept. And like crypto is known for scammers and hackers and all this bad shit. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not even trying to scam you, bro. I'm just trying to get you into it. Even if it's just $5, I still want you to give me $5 in Ethereum or Bitcoin, just so you can have the wallet open and so you can see that it's actually useful for mankind.
People are generally slow to adopt these kind of new technologies. And it doesn't help that crypto has huge implications for the financial system and that it has been resisted by governments because of that simple reality, because you can send Bitcoin to anyone, anywhere in the world at any time. And that's problematic for the banking infrastructure who wants to have complete control over what you can do, what you can say, and where you can send your money to. And money is a form of freedom of speech, and they don't want you to have that kind of freedom to be able to send money to family members in countries that they don't like or to support political causes that they don't like. You don't have that freedom with the banking system, but you do have that with crypto. So it's crypto kicked the hornet's nest. I think actually one of Satoshi Nakamoto's absolute last, it was his next to last or something like that message he ever put out was something saying that WikiLeaks has kicked the hornet's nest because WikiLeaks was one of the first ever companies in the world, if not the first company in the world, to start accepting Bitcoin donations and Bitcoin payments. This was way ahead of the curve of anybody else. And so that also proved the power of Bitcoin and part of the reason why you understand that everything's been so attacked for such a long time. Now, that all being said, the industry has matured a lot since then, and we're getting to the point now where we're going to see mainstream adoption starting to happen. And getting somebody in a Western country to understand, well, hey, you can use Bitcoin, like, be your own bank. Like, well, I've got a bank. Okay, what about the billions of people in the world who don't have banking infrastructure?
Yeah,
Those people want crypto. Those people are using crypto. And the use case for a lot of people in major Western countries is not always super apparent. They just look at it as a gambling speculation thing. The use case for people around the world, though, outside of that bubble, has been very real for a long time, and people have been using it for intended purpose of use, which is actually using it as a currency for cross-border transfers and stuff like this, and getting around capital controls from central banks and all these sorts of things that's been happening for a very, very long time. But we're probably at a mainstream adoption moment for crypto over the next couple of years, where we're going to see, for example, big games coming on board. Now, if there's a big game, if there's a game that even gets 1/10 of the success of Fortnite, that's going to onboard millions of people into crypto. And they're going to come into crypto not because they want to come and play a cryptocurrency-based game, but because they want to come and play a game that happens to have tokens and NFTs in the background. That's how you start getting mainstream adoption. You're going to get different applications that have different ways for you to earn crypto and stuff like that. And this is how you really start mainstreaming people, getting people to go and be investors and buy things in order to invest in them. Great use case. Obviously, people love it, but it's not how you go mainstream. Going mainstream is by getting normies involved who would not normally be investors, but who start earning or engaging with crypto because that's just the done thing now. And that's where they have to go to get what they want.
exactly. Like what I love to say is it's time to throw out the trash and out with old and with the new. And this is very exciting times, and people just they're almost blinded by it. You just don't want to accept the reality. It's just like things are moving at a really fast rate right now. It's just like if you don't get on board, you're just gonna get left behind. And it's just I'm gonna feel sorry. Just like, hey, I told you so in the early days, man, and now this is what happens. But there'll still be more time, I think. But what do you think the Bitcoin price will be at this next cycle? And we're already reaching all-time highs. Where do you think it's gonna stop?
My guess at this point, nobody really knows. Okay, to be very clear with
Yeah,
everybody, my guess is probably around, well, the 3.618 Fibonacci line comes in around $215,000. So that's a very interesting place to look. We saw last cycle, of course, that's approximately what we got to. Similar for Ethereum, Fibonacci hit right on there. So if we look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin going to about 215K as sort of a more of a maybe base case for how things can play out. More bullish end, maybe 250K, maybe, just maybe at the wildest peaks, 300K. But I want to put a word of warning out there to everybody, because when you start getting up to like 215K, then okay, maybe you do get 250, you get like 247, and everyone's waiting to sell at 250, you don't sell at 250 because it's like it's 250, you almost get it, and then you round trip your bags to zero. So keep that in mind. But once you see these kind of wild price valuations, everybody's mind flips to extreme greed overnight. And suddenly, well, okay, we all talked about 215, maybe 250K, but yeah, now that we're at 215K, guess what? Now we're going to 500K. And nobody sells. Everybody is convinced they're going to go to 500K now. Why would you sell now? You'd be an idiot to sell now, because this cartoon character on Twitter said, we're going to go to 500K, so I'm going to hold forever and going to ride it back down, essentially, with all your altcoins too, obviously. So 215 to maybe 250K for Bitcoin. Ethereum probably around 12 to 15K, 15K kind of a peak price. So these would be my thoughts on where we could see the two major assets. And of course, the implications then for your altcoins. Altcoin market cap currently, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, we are looking at about $700 billion for all altcoins combined, which is kind of a surprising number when you think about it. That's probably going to around $3 trillion this cycle, based on, the different chart analysis I've done, the Fibonacci lines, sort of trend and all that stuff. Nothing, of course, is guaranteed. This is just an estimate, a prediction, obviously. But if that happens, we see altcoins go to $3 trillion. That means they're going to add 2.3 to 2.5, let's say, trillion dollars to the total market cap of all altcoins. That means that all your price target stuff that you're thinking now, you probably need to raise it all dramatically, because when things really get cooking in crypto, it gets way crazier than you think it's going to.
it reminds me of like what the stock market's like. with everybody like throwing papers in there and everything. But yeah, dude, for sure. So what do you have coming up? You said you're a content creator. What some events are gonna be at so people can reach you at?
So the best place to find me, just come over to X or YouTube, look for Lark Davis, Lark Davis, and you can find my content over there. We're sharing all kinds of news, all kinds of educational stuff, tutorials, all that sort of stuff all the time. So come find it, check it out, and we'll be happy to see you there.
Do you have like a coaching program, like coaching classes or anything like that?
So we have a newsletter. It's called The Wealth Mastery, which you can find at thewealthmastery.io. Check it out. It's a free newsletter. Got 120,000 weekly readers on it. And we're talking about all the stuff in the market all the time. So the big news, as well as like airdrop alpha and tutorials and altcoin alpha, all that kind of stuff. So it's very, very much a highly informative newsletter for investors in the market.
Yeah, make sure you get involved. I'm part of the newsletter. And thank you, Mr. Davis, for coming out on the show. I know you're a really busy guy. By the way, I like your artwork, man. It's pretty cool. Where'd you get those?
So these are from a crypto artist, actually. Her name is Josie Bellini, and she is one of the OG artists in the crypto space. She was making NFTs way before anybody else was talking about NFTs or doing anything with NFTs, and she was doing these kind of really cool prints. This is actually the Ethereum white paper here, and this is a Bitcoin related one. So obviously she's been doing some really awesome art for a long time, and you can find her website at josie.io, josie.io. I don't know if she's any prints or anything available right now. I don't think she's had these prints in stock for a long time. She may not have them again, but if you enjoy her art, then go and check it out and buy some of her NFTs or, find some other art.
For sure, for sure. One quick last question. Have you heard of Do What You Love, another crypto artist?
I have not.
Oh, okay, okay. Check them out online. This is just Do What You Love. It's like has pretty cool paintings. But yeah, man, everybody check out Lark Davis, get involved with his newsletter, and thanks once again, and I'll catch you next time.